Awesome. So we can go ahead and get started. I do want to preface this, as we have for the other talks, that there's a lab at 2 o'clock. So if you want to stick around and actually get hands-on, we have some of our lead engineers here, so they can actually help you get started. But we're going to just walk through a little bit about how we're bringing control and flexibility to the DevOps pipeline with the IBM Blockchain Platform. So just a little bit about how our platform is actually structured. Again, we run on Hyperledger Fabric. That's the open source component that everything is built upon. And that is on IBM Cloud, on-premise, and we have other cloud deployments as well, and that's all provisioned through Kubernetes. And on top of that, we've added a ton of tooling to make it really easy for people to work with IBM Blockchain Platform. So Simon just spoke a lot about that first component, which is our tooling specifically to help developers build. We have an IDE extension for Visual Studio Code to help you develop and reduce your time to development. And then you can use any Kubernetes-compatible integration as well. I'm going to focus a little bit about that operate and grow component. So we've given the ability to have flexible network configurations, all managed in one console. Advanced governance tooling, again, we are permissioned. We run on Hyperledger Fabric, which is a permissioned blockchain, so governance is very important. So advanced governance tooling, which makes network management and maintenance really easy. And then high availability and disaster recovery capabilities. And we want, obviously, everyone to grow and scale with us. So the ability to connect nodes running in any environment, regardless of which cloud you're running in. If you're running on-prem, you can connect everything up. And you can connect a peer to multiple industry networks. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you actually do that using the Ops Tools console. So as I said, we have pursued a multi-cloud strategy. You can put any component anywhere to create an entirely distributed network. But we wanted it to be really easy to manage all of those deployments. So we have this admin console. This is part of the IBM Blockchain Platform. And it's a web UI to help you manage all of your components in one place. You can configure your infrastructure on IBM Cloud. So as I said earlier, everything was in Kubernetes. So there's definitely a Kubernetes part of it, which is where you manage your network and your infrastructure. And then you can connect up and manage components all right here. Work with your policy and identities and create and update those. And the developer part of things, you can also manage your smart contracts, which of course are really integral to everything you do with blockchain. And everything is sort of determined by Hyperledger Fabric. So the design of the system and the application architecture relies on Hyperledger Fabric. So to start off with, all of your blockchain components are deployed to IBM Kubernetes service. Why? Over time, we heard that people want full control over all their components. So clients really want the ability to get really granular with different components within the blockchain network. Through your Kubernetes dashboard, we give you the ability to scale up and down as required. And not only does it allow you to be really specific, it allows you to start with no upfront investment and grow with us really easily. Additionally, and most importantly, you retain control of all your private keys. So just because it's on an IBM blockchain platform doesn't mean that we have those sorts of things. The first step in development is selecting your Kubernetes cluster. So you'll be taken to this first screen, which allows you to pick a Kubernetes cluster, either connect to one that you already own, or pick a new one. You can start with the paid cluster of any size, or you can start with our free cluster. Then you're taken into the console. This is where you're going to start managing and setting up all your network components, as well as managing nodes running in any environment. So you can see from here, we have sort of a status on each of your components. The green icon in the side tells you what's running, what's connected up. And then you can go into each of these peers and find out a lot more information, specifically what makes up the peer pod and where everything is running. I've mentioned flexible deployment a lot, as well as the fact that it's completely heterogeneous. So this is an example of what that really means. Here you'll see 3 different examples of clusters, and the fact that not all of them have the same thing. So we have 2 clusters in here that both have, one cluster in here that has an ordering service, And the other two don't. They just have peers and certificates. So again, you only need to deploy the components you actually need. Not everyone needs the same thing. Not everyone needs to put those components in the same place. So we've really allowed for that and made that really easy. And the reason for this, a lot of the reason that people need flexible deployment is because you might be in different zones. You might be in a different geographic area. You might have different regulations put upon you. So because of that, we wanted to give that flexibility back to blockchain development. So adding your certificates. As you can see, we make it really easy to add your certificate. You just go into the peer, add it right there, and you can bring your own certificate as well. So managing the order, you can easily invite members to the consortium. Again, this is all about scale. We want it to be really, really easy to add new members. So it's as easy as sort of an invite within the UI. So managing channels, of course, a lot of the activity happens within the channel. So within the channel, you can update members. You can update roles of those members, who can read, who can write. Again, this is all permissioned. You can update your ACLs, who can perform specific operations, which is governed by the smart contract. And you can update your channel policy. So that lets you be able to configure who needs to approve updates to the channel. And then endorsement policies, again, very easy to do. Just really simple screen to be able to set up your endorsement policy on each of your smart contracts. We've seen over time that people really want to see the blocks being created and the transactions being done. So we have an entire panel just to do that. You can see transactions committed on the blocks. You can dive into the blocks to get a full read of all those transactions. And then you can dive deeper into that transaction specifically. So this really helps you understand and bring on new people to the network because you can show them what's actually happening. And as I said in the first presentation, this is happening with a lot of our consortiums right now. They're constantly transacting. They're constantly creating new blocks, and quote unquote, blockchain is actually happening. As I said earlier, the ability to scale up and down, we wanted that to be super, super easy. In such a distributed system, it shouldn't be hard to be able to manage and configure your storage. So the operator tools allow you to easily scale up and down. You can manage performance and balance cost and scalability at the same time. You can also drill down and see, if you're operating at 90% of storage, you can look at that before you actually get full, and you can scale up if you need to, or scale down depending on what you're doing. So maintenance patches. This is a really important concept and also a really big differentiator for the platform versus Hyperledger Fabric open source. So the way the IBM platform works is we actually create certified images out of Fabric. So when Fabric releases, it releases 1.4.1, for example, and we'll turn that into a certified image. And that's what is the basis of the IBM Blockchain Platform. So because of that, we ensure our certified images. So if we find a bug with Hyperledger Fabric, we can fix it, and we fix it on our image before Fabric might release a new version. So if you're building just on the open source, you will have probably a time period where you're open to vulnerabilities. Whereas if you're running on the IBM Blockchain Platform, we apply patches to those certified images and make sure those bugs are fixed right away. And you never have to wait for the new version of Fabric to come out. But we do want to make sure that you have a choice. So you can see through this screen, there's a little blue indicator at the top that says patch available. So obviously someone found a bug or an issue with Fabric, and we issued a patch out. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you apply that patch when you want to. So you might want to apply that patch on Saturday night where no transactions are happening for the least amount of downtime. And then you can choose to do that exactly when you want to. And we make that available to you really easily. So the IBM Kubernetes side of things. Again, as I said, all of your components are within IBM Kubernetes. That's also what makes it really easy for us to tell you that you can put your components wherever you want to. And within IBM Kubernetes, you would just go into the IBM Kubernetes dashboard. You can drill down, see exactly what's deployed, what's running. It allows you to optimize scale and understand what's happening with your network. It gives you full control of your infrastructure, so you're able to manage everything in Kubernetes just like you would with any other deployment. And again, something I'll touch on later, you can use any tool that works with Kubernetes to help manage your blockchain deployments as well. So, as I just mentioned, logging and monitoring. What's really great is that because we use Kubernetes, any logging tool, any monitoring tool you can use really easily. So one of the two examples we work with, LogDNA, which helps you parse through logs to manage your deployments. So you can see everything that's happening. You can quickly diagnose that issue. You can share those logs with members of your network as well. And then Systis is another one, again, that helps you actually monitor what's happening into your containers, the storage, the compute, and assess whether you need to scale up, scale down, and again, all of our pricing is according to that. So you can really optimize what you're paying with what you're doing. Okay, so getting started. As you know, and we're going to go into this in the lab, but we're currently running our free 2.0 beta. So everything I talked about, this is all available right now. It's available for free. So if you go to the Cloud Console, cloud.ibm.com, you'll see the Blockchain Platform 2.0 tile. You can create your service instance right there and there, and create and attach a IBM Kubernetes service cluster. As I said, you can either bring your own cluster if you already have one running, or you can start with a free cluster or a paid cluster if you're ready for that. And then you'll launch out into the Blockchain console. As soon as you do that, you'll see everything I just talked about. So you can create and join networks, scale, customize your deployments, and start actually building. I did not know that truck was going to move. Thought I took that out. Okay, so in summary, everything we've done is, designed because of Hyperledger Fabric. That's what really drives the way our application is architected, and everything we do really fits Hyperledger Fabric. Smart contracts, we've made it really easy to manage smart contracts. You can write them within our developer tools, and then you can also manage them within the ops tools UI that I just showed you today. And as Simon talked about, if you weren't here for the last talk, we have a easy programming model to actually help you write those smart contracts before you put them, before you deploy them. And then our SDK makes it super easy to develop. So that's a little bit on the dev side. And then everything I showed you makes it really easy to operate. So the platform difference is that we support multi-cloud networks. We give you the ability to actually manage all your components in a really, really easy way. And the support behind it as well. And that's all. So if you want to stick around and get hands-on, stick around for the lab at 2 o'clock. Yeah, I think we have a little time for questions. Yeah.
Yes. Sound good? Okay, good. Quick question on platform, the first version, 1.0. Mm-hmm. Is that still going to be around, or is that being phased out? Because I wasn't sure if we should be focused on that for the time being, or do we need to migrate to go to 2.0?
Yeah, so we have, it's a little bit of a phased out approach right now. So we have starter plan, which is going to be phased out more quickly, but we have a lot of customers running huge deployments on enterprise plan, which is a longer process that we help you migrate to the 2.0. But you'll see that essentially we've taken all of the capabilities that were in the 1.0 and added a ton more. So we almost expect that customers naturally are going to move over because they can do a ton more with this version.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Hi. So this management console is supposed to be used by the consortium network operator, right? Mm-hmm. It looks like the operator is able to manage and view all the peer nodes, mm-hmm. which was supposed to be owned and managed by the participants themselves. So it kind of a little bit confused.
Well, everyone will have their own view as well. So it's not just that one person. will be able to see the management console. Every member is also able to use the management console. Does that make sense? It's not just one person's view.
Yeah, so if I'm a consortium operator and I have 50 companies join this consortium, and then they are all peers, they are transact on this network, and all the data are supposed to be their own data, and then they should operate and they should own their data, and then we should not be able to see their data.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not that one person will be able to see everyone's data. There's one view of the ledger, but that's also defined by the governance policies that you set, because it's a permission network. So it's not that everything is public, if that makes sense. That's what the governance and permissioned.
So basically, those 50 companies who join this consortium, and each of those companies would be running your console.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But the management of it, that's all determined by the governance policies. Does that make sense? So who can do what, who can change what, that's all agreed upon.
Anyone else?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And just as a preface, for the hands-on lab, you do need a laptop, so just let you know. Thank you.